Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul. I am a nerd, and this is the September 2012 virtual user group meeting for Tabs3 and Practice Master users that we affectionately call the water cooler. And today we are going to look at something brand new in version 16.2 called Tabs3 Connect. Of course, as some of you who have seen this know, the name is a little bit deceiving because most of the features that you see or that you have access to in this online cloud-based version of your data are Practice Master features. But because Tabs3 is the name that everybody knows, they chose to call it Tabs3 Connect. Now, before we get started, I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping and explain to you how you can get around. This is the control panel that you probably see over toward the right-hand side of your screen. And jutting off to the left of it, keep in mind this other stuff around it is how we're displaying it. This is it right here. This box or group of icons that jut off to the left include an icon that points to the right, the two arrows that point to the right. Clicking this icon will cause this big box to move out of the way, and these arrows will then point to the left as it slides over. The only thing you'll be able to see is this part. Clicking that again with the arrows pointing to the left will bring this big box back into focus, back into view, so that you can type a question right here and hit send if you have a question. If you are feeling a little bit, bold, you might also simply raise your hand by clicking this button that looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it. That means raising your hand. Leanne will either notice that you have raised your hand and she'll unmute you and let you ask your question, or she will notice that you've asked a question and she will ask it on your behalf. If you don't get your question answered, we are not going to mute you back up until we ask if you've gotten it answered, so be sure to ask those follow-up questions. Or if you've typed a question in and you don't get your question answered, you just type in the follow-up questions and we'll make sure that we do get it answered. Keep in mind, of course, that you can always send an email to paul.purdue, like the school, not the chicken, P-U-R-D-U-E. And for those of you who are wondering, the chicken is P-E-R-D-U-E, paul.purdue@attorneycomputersystems.com. So if you have any questions that don't get asked or don't get answered quite the way you want, you can always email them to us also. So we are talking about Tabs3 Connect. And I'm just realizing that I haven't even loaded up my browser to show it to you, which is good, because it'll get you acclimated to how this exactly works. Now, one thing I want to stress is that this system was developed, this Tabs3 Connect was developed, so that you can use it from any internet-connected device, an iPad, an Android tablet, an Android phone, an iPhone, an Android phone, any phone that's got internet connection, any tablet that's got internet connection, any computer that has internet connection. Now, of course, you'll notice right now that what I'm doing is loading Google Chrome, which is a browser. Internet Explorer works just the same. And I'm typing www. A little bit telling there, isn't it, Mary Jo? Type www and the first thing that comes up is Facebook. We must be on somebody else's computer. This wouldn't be me. www.tabs3connect.com. And that takes us to the login screen where you specify your email address and your password. And I'm going to do that right now. And this is Tabs3 Connect. Now, there are 6 functions plus your alarms, plus your e-notes, and then there's a help button, and there's the ability to log out. So we have the Matter Manager, the calendar, clients, contacts, costs, and fees. And then, of course, you can see your alarms, and you can see and respond to your e-notes. So I'm going to start us out in the Matter Manager. Now, one thing I want to point out right now is, for those of you who didn't know, there is this really neat thing in Practice Master called the Matter Manager, and it came out in version 16, so we have a lot of clients that are old version 15 or 14 or 12 users that have had 16 for quite some time, but didn't even know this Matter Manager was here. Now, we're going to look really quickly at a different client. We're going to search for Scooby-Doo. And one thing you'll notice is that my ability to select clients is a little bit different. I'll pull this one up. When I click on this list here, it pulls up my most recently used clients, or at least my most recently accessed clients, and then gives me a search box. And in that search box, I don't have to type the name search or the client ID. I could type anything. I believe, and I guess I'm going out on a limb here, if I type test, it finds anybody that has test in this instance, the name or the description. So it's a little bit different. It's more designed around an attorney that wants to find somebody very quickly, not under the more rigid ways that you have of pulling up a client in Practice Master or Tabs. Now, another thing to point out is that this screen, by the way, this is something that's in the Matter Manager. This billing summary is what's coming up because it's the last thing I used. Very, very cool. This, of course, is also available in the desktop version of Practice Master. It shows you the amount due, the previous balance, the amount of fees and costs that are currently WIP, not yet billed, what their bill would be if they were to get one today, how much they have in client funds, who the timekeeper is, the date and amount of the last payment, the last statement number and its date, the aging breakdown, the trust account information, a lot of useful information here. Now, before we get more into the Matter Manager, I want to show you that this has been designed for two types of devices. And I have just switched to the phone side, and you're like, okay, well, it looks different, but it looks kind of funky. This is what it would look like on a phone. You'll notice that the buttons up here are arranged differently so that they take up less horizontal real estate. You'll notice that the things that you're doing here are arranged differently so that you get as much information as you can on the phone screen. Obviously, if we were to switch back to the phone site or the full site, which is designed to be used on an iPad or an Android tablet or a regular computer, and then made it look like a phone, it's very unusable. So the people that developed this, software technology, when they developed this, they put a lot of thought into how it's going to be running on a device, on a tablet versus on a phone. Another thing that they did was raise your hand. Okay, I'm just kidding, don't. But tell me, or think about for a minute, have you ever hit the back button when you're in a shopping cart buying a book on Amazon or something like that and gotten a message, you were about to resubmit information to a form, are you sure you want to do that? A lot of people look at that and they don't even know what it means. The people at STI have developed this back button in such a way that it will take you to whatever your most recent page was without giving you that message. We are actually resubmitting forms right here, and normally if you run a shopping site, you get that stupid message popping up, do you want to do that? And so it's, from a navigational standpoint, it's very easy to go from one place to the next and then go back to where you were simply by using the button that's familiar to you, and you're not going to get some gobbledygook sort of message like you're about to resubmit a form, are you sure you want to do that? Now, in Matter Manager, we have access, just like we do in the real desktop version of Practice Master, to All Activity, which shows me the different fee entries versus calendar items versus notes. All those things are shown in a chronological order without regard for what they are in this All Activity view. We, of course, have the billing summary. We have the calendar. Here's the one calendar item that I have for Mr. Scooby-Doo. We still have this Convert to Fee button, and I think Mary Jo's going to talk about fees later. And when she does, she'll show you how to enter a fee, but we can take any of these things that are in this view, any of the activities or tasks or appointments or events or journaled emails or anything like that, and convert them into fees just like we could in regular Practice Master. We have access to all the contacts that are tied to the matter, whether they be in the people file or in the main contacts, just by looking here. Let's say that we wanted to Well, that's the organizational contact. Let me see if we've got, well, here's Thelma Short. And there's her phone number and her email address, and here's her physical address. On an iPhone or an Android device or any device that can dial, clicking this link will take you to dialing the phone. On any device, be it a tablet or a pad or a phone, or this device, which happens to be a computer, clicking the email will take you to the default email client. I'm loading an Outlook email because I'm on a computer. If I were on an iPad, clicking this would simply take me to an iPad email, an Apple email, whatever they call that. Look at this, though. This is a link also. And clicking it will take me to a map. It doesn't find Mystery Mobile. We didn't think about this, did we, Mary Jo? We try to anticipate these funny things that are going to happen. We did not anticipate that one. There is no such address. Let me go back to Bill Perdue. He's a real person, living and breathing sometimes. Okay, there's where Purdue Law Offices is in Toledo, Ohio. Now, on my computer running Google Chrome, that's kind of neat. But think about it on a phone or on an iPad, sitting in your car going, where the hell is this office now? Very, very, very useful. Let me get out of here. Go back to the...
Paul,
yes?
I do have a question here.
Okay.
I'm not sure where this comes in, but the question is, I enter my email and password for my computer or the name and password for the Practice Master system?
You're entering the username and password for Tabs3 Connect. The username is the same one that you used to get into Practice Master. And a minute, Mary Jo is going to explain oh no, she's shaking her head. I must be saying something wrong because Mary Jo is shaking her head. It is the username and password that you use to get into Tabs3 Connect. And in a moment, Mary Jo will explain to you how you set up those users.
Okay, so the next question is then, is it available now because she just tried to do it on her phone but it didn't work? Do I enter my email and password for my computer or the name and password?
Well, it needs to be set up.
Oh, okay.
You need to have 16.2. This is a 16.2 feature. It needs to be set up. And in a minute we'll talk about some of the other prerequisites also. But no, it's if you just have downloaded 16.2 and installed it, it still needs to be running. It's very easy to get running, but we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, and of course we have all the other things that you would have in the Matter Manager. I'm not going to go through all those features because they're not really features of Tabs3 Connect. They're features of Practice Master's Matter Manager. But let's just say that the Matter Manager is here in its entirety in Tabs3 Connect. Now, if I click here, it's going to take me to the client file, and you can also get there using this, I believe, is the client, and I'm going to turn it over to Mary Jo, who is going to talk about that.
Okay, so when you're out here on the main screen and you have your 6 icons, you've got the little client there, and it's also within each of them, each of the modules as you're in them and working. So if you just want to flip from Matter Manager to go directly to a client, you can, but you can also find it in Matter Manager, and that's why Paul started out first, because all of these features that we're going to talk about in these other 3 icons are all available in Matter Manager. So if you're one of those people that just want to be in one place all the time and just be flipping back and forth between these, you're going to just be working in Matter Manager almost all the time. If you're an attorney that's just putting fees in, you might be just working in fees all the time. It just depends. So if you are out here and you just want to go to a client, you just want to find some client information, you can click on the client icon, and it will just take you into your list of clients here. You can flip back and forth between recent and all. So right now, if I wanted to just see all the recent clients, my most recent, they're on my list, I can do a search. And again, type last name, first name, name of client, the Matter ID number, client ID Matter. Any way that you're used to searching, that is still available here. Or I can go into my all list and I can see all of my clients again down here. So that is available here. and it's just your list. You can go in and click on any one. So if I click back into Scooby-Doo, I'm going to see just the basic information, the name, the address, the contact information, and then if I click all fields, I'll then get a list of all the fields that are in Practice Master and have data in them for that client. Now you also see, I see all the other fields that are defined. There's no information in there, so that's something that when you're putting your data in to make sure that, if it's blank, it's because that field isn't filled in Practice Master for that client. But you'll get all those basic information. So, Paul, I'm going to send it back to you, or do you want me to continue? Or? Okay, I'm going to continue on then with cost. So I'm going to go back. If I go into the little cost icon up here, again, I can get to it right from wherever I am, or it's on my main screen. Cost, now if you're out at the court and you have to put a court charge on your credit card and you want to go bill that to the client real quick, you can come in there on your phone or on your iPad and you can go choose the client and you can put that cost in for that court cost right here in Tabs3 Connect. So you don't have to wait to get back to the office to bill the client if it's something like that. Now most of the time when you go to court or you go out somewhere, you're going to have a check that you're taking with you. But this feature is there because I know there are some attorneys that they do on the fly have to pay for something and they want to bill it to a client. They don't want to mess with it later. This will just let you put that cost in. So, Paul?
Costs. Mary Jo and I were talking about this morning. There's two things in here that we think are probably the least likely to be used, and my vote for the least likely is cost. Remember, this is meant to be used out in the field, mainly attorneys, paralegals, and very infrequently are they entering costs. They get a check and take it to the court, but it's already been entered as a cost when the check was written. So the debate is on about whether or not this will even stay here. Let's take a look now at contacts. That's this guy over here, or this group of two guys, which indicates contacts. One thing, there are two arguments for not even having to sync your Practice Master contacts and calendar to your Outlook and therefore to your smartphone anymore. And one is that not only can you see all of your contacts in Tabs3 Connect, you can see all of the firm's contacts. And the other argument is the same argument, but as it applies to calendar. If you sync your Practice Master calendar to your phone through Outlook, you will see your calendar items on your phone. But if you're using Tabs3 Connect, you will see all the calendar items and have the ability to see all the contacts. So if I come in here and I just want to search for, well, if I go to My Contacts, you'll notice that Mary Jo is one of my contacts. She's been marked as belonging to me, therefore somebody that I want to see all the time if I were to do a sync of my contacts without looking with my phone, absent Tabs3 and Practice Master Connect, or, sorry, Tabs3 Connect. I would see her anyways. But if I look at all and search for Boyd, I'll see anybody named Boyd, including her husband, Matthew. So that's huge. The fact that you can see not just your contacts, but the entire group of 2,000 or 5,000, or some of our clients have 25 and 30,000 contacts. Being able to see all of that from the web. What does it say? We'll redact that. We'll go to somebody else. I'm sorry. This is an example of why we don't use our own data. Let's see what we get when we pull up Bill Pert, his Social Security number. Let's see here. Well, let's look at John Perdue. That's my dad. He's gone. In fact, all we see is his last telephone number at Toledo Hospital. So we'll pull this data in it. Who can we pull up? How about Fred Perdue at Lewis Wagner? Because there is no Fred Perdue at Lewis Wagner. Okay. So in contacts, not only can we see all of them, but again, we have that same capability of being able to dial the phone, being able to look at a website, being able to send an email, or being able to instantly map something. So that's all very useful. We do a couple things to consider. You were just able to see all the fields for the client. We can't see all the fields for the contact. A lot of our clients are using contacts to do marketing, so they have fields that indicate what that contact is interested in, what areas of law, what types of holiday cards and popcorn, sizes of popcorn they get at Christmas, all those different things. So those fields are currently not available in Tabs3 Connect, something to consider. You're not going to get everything. You're not going to be able to print bills from Tabs3 Connect. You're not going to be able to look at billing history other than what's available in the Matter Manager. So there are a lot of things you can't do, but there certainly is a lot of functionality that is very useful. I'm going to switch over now real quick to the calendar. Now, this is what we call the agenda view. And it looks just like an agenda. The reason we have the agenda view is because on some devices, like phones, it makes sense to only see this sort of a view because you can't really see a whole mapped out, beautiful display on a teeny little smartphone screen. Some people would prefer on their portable devices to see an agenda view even if they had an iPad, simply because it's a little more concise and easy to read if you want to see a quick agenda type view of what your week's schedule looks like. I'm going to switch then to the task list. This is my task list for today. Okay. And then I'm going to switch to the calendar. And this is my calendar for today, actually for the week. Now I'm looking at both Brandon's and mine. So we can see that Brandon will be working today from 3 to 6 and from 3 to 6 tomorrow. And I'm going to take Brandon off of there. And now I'm looking at just mine. That right there is huge, very huge. And if you're syncing your calendars to Outlook and therefore out to your smartphones, you are not seeing this. So some of my clients have, 15, 35. I think our largest client has 72 attorneys. Those attorneys, if they're syncing their Outlooks with their practice master and therefore getting their calendar all the way out to their smartphone, are not seeing what the other partners or what their other associates are doing in the firm. They're only seeing what they're doing. And the ability for me to see what Mary Jo's doing in addition to what I'm doing on one calendar is huge. Now, obviously, we have that in our regular desktop version of Practice Master, but by extending this to the cloud, you have some real neat capabilities. Everything's been optimized here for a browser or for a browser type environment. For instance, if we look at the month view, this is something that I like just out of principle. If you have more than will fit in a little square, it actually shows the whole day extended to show everything that you're doing. I think that's very, very cool. The reason they don't do this in the desktop version is because they have to, in that version, consider the fact that you may be printing the calendar also. I wish they had a way to do it and still enable that, but right now they don't. So this view of a calendar is even better, in my mind, than the monthly calendar that's in the desktop view. You, of course, can move from month to month, or if you're looking at it in a weekly view, from week to week, using these. If you get someplace way off in the future and want to just go back to today, you click this button. Or if you want to go to a specific day, you click that, and this nice little calendar pops up. Very cool. Now, I'm going to interrupt for just a second. I do have a question from Lori. She says, so if you just have Tabs 3, what do you see in the Matter Manager, just Tabs 3 information? I think it might be a good time to, should we tell them what the prerequisites are, or should we wait until the end when they're all excited? I guess they're all excited now. This is only available in Platinum, but it's free. So it is a feature of Platinum that you do not have to pay extra for. The other caveat is it's only available to firms that have Tabs 3 and Practice Master. But wait, there's more. What's the more? There is no basic in Platinum. Mary Jo's trying to tell me that they get a free copy of Basic. Well, that's not true. Platinum does not have a Basic version of Practice Master. They took it away. They probably were thinking about this. So you do have to have Platinum. You do have to have Tabs 3 and Practice Master. As you may notice, most of these things we're looking at are from Practice Master. They're not from Tabs 3. So I can't say whether I'm happy or not that they've called it Tabs3 Connect. I think it makes sense because that's where they're branded. That's what people know. They know them as Tabs3 a little bit more than they know them as Practice Master. But that makes it a little deceptive. I wouldn't say deceptive. It's just a little bit confusing because it's really something where you have to have Tabs3 and Practice Master in order to be able to use it. And that's, I have another question that says, I presume we won't see contacts if we do not run Practice Master. That also is from Lori, and yes, of course, now that I've explained, you have to have Practice Master. So you would see contacts because you would have Practice Master in order to be able to be running this. Okay, one more thing I just want to show is that we also do show our alarms. Now, I don't have any alarms, which is a little surprising for me. But this is how you see your alarms. You simply see this little alarm icon, and if you were to have 2 alarms, you'd have a little red 2 in the corner like we do for this. So if you have alarms, you'll see the little number just like you're used to seeing on an iPad, iPhone type device. And so if you, there we go. But none of them are overdue, and that's why I don't have the little red thing going there. Thank you, Mary Jo. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to Mary Jo, and she's going to talk about fees, and then she's going to talk about e-notes, and she's going to end by telling you how easy it is to set up. Okay, Mary Jo?
All right. The last thing we talked about was cost. The fees, same thing. If you just click on the fee button here, Paul showed you over in Matter Manager that you can convert to fee if you have a journal record, a calendar record, any of those records that are out there, and it has a little stopwatch there with the arrow. You can click and convert it to a fee. But if you just want a quick add time, you're out there, you just want to add that I did this and I want to bill the client. Just click on the fee button, choose the client, the date, transaction codes are in there, how many hours you worked or portion of hours you worked, and then description. And save it. That's it. It already knows what timekeeper you are because that's what we fill in the setup, so it's going to put it under you. So it's done. You save your time entry, and it's out on the list, and you're billing the client. So that makes it super fast for you to do that. So you can also do a list. You can get the list of all the fees for whatever client you're on, or whatever day, whatever your fees that you've entered in, so you can see if you've already billed it or not. So that's a good feature there to have, to go back out and see if you've actually entered it. So that's fees in a nutshell. It's nothing really too much different than what you do in Tabs or Practice Master now, but when you click that fee button, it just gives you the down and dirty, there you go, enter it, and you've got it. The last thing I'm going to talk about over here on this screen is the e-notes. If you're using e-notes at your firm, again, that's a platinum feature, interoffice messaging, basically, to anybody that's a user in Practice Master. You can also use the e-note feature in Tabs3 Connect. So if you're out at court and you need to send your secretary a message real quick, you can send her an e-note, and as long as she is signed into Practice Master, she's going to get that right away, and she can communicate with you as well. So that is huge communication-wise out there. It's instant. You've got that. And so when you, which link? If you go to the, if you do an e-notify where you have an actual document or a calendar record that you want to notify of, maybe your secretary needs to let you know that there is a additional time frame or something that you need to meet right after you leave court, she could actually attach that calendar record to the e-note. So it's called e-notify, and it will tell you and pop up on the e-note screen that you need to go here next. So this, she had just attached a client to tell me about this client that she had put in, but you have that linked record ability as well. Go back out to my list of e-notes. I'm sorry, I'm back on my clients. Get back into e-notes. I can reply to her, or reply to all. I can forward. I can dismiss it, and I can read what's going on. And so that feature is still available in Tabs3 Connect as well. So a little bit about setting it up. When you first get this and you download 16.2, there is some quick setup that's involved. You go to System Configuration, and under your Platinum feature or tab, there is a Tabs3 Connect Administration. So the first thing that you need to do is click on that, and you'll have to check this box to allow connections via Tabs3 Connect. And then you can also have this automatically log off users set to different increments. So if I can go down and have it to be whatever I want, up to 30 minutes. So it'll keep you logged in for 30 minutes, and then if you're inactive after that, it'll log you out. You're going to want to have an email in here to have somebody designated in your firm to receive any messages regarding, downtimes or maintenance or anything like that. And you can test the email to make sure that it's correct. And then you're going to start down here. And we're already started because we're running, but this actually would not say running right now or connected. It would be in an idle mode. And when you hit start, it will then take it a few seconds, and then you'll see that it'll turn to running and it's connected. So that means it's up and it's ready to go. Now you have to tell it which users are allowed to see it. If you ever want to stop it, you can hit the stop button, and there's also a log. So if you have any issues or errors or anything, you can come in here and you can view the log and find out what happened. Did it get disconnected? Did somebody log in? What's going on? So you have this log available as well. So this is where you can come in. If all of a sudden it stops working or something happens, you can come in and make sure that it's still running and connected. That's the first thing. And if it's not, restart it here. So Tabs3 Connect administration first. And then what you do is go under each user, and that's under just your user IDs. And there is an allow access via Tabs3 Connect. So each individual user has, the ability, you can turn that on or off for them. So if I hit that and then I go to my Tabs3 Connect settings, I then can make sure this email you can see is grayed out. You have to have an email defined over here under that user. So the user email will come over here as grayed out. That is the login. So somebody asked earlier, how do I log into Tabs3 Connect? Well, your user ID or the login ID is the email address for that user that's defined in system configuration. You can then give it a different password. Now, this is something I just learned today. I thought it had to be the same, or you had to have a password up here, but that's not true. You don't need a password to log into Tabs or Practice Master, but you do need to have a secure password over here. So that is something that you'll need to have at least one capital letter and 8 characters long and 1 number. And it will tell you that. If I tried to put something in here that was not that, it'll pop up a box and tell me, nope, you need 1 capital letter, a number, and at least 8 characters. So you'll type in a password, confirm that password, and then you need to assign a fee timekeeper to that particular user. Now, most of the time, this is going to be a fee timekeeper that's using this out in the field, but it might not be. If it's your administrator or somebody else, you still have to assign a fee timekeeper, even if it's not them. So if, just keep that in mind. You have to assign somebody here as a timekeeper. So that is available. It has the drop-down. It's going to list all the timekeepers that you have there so that you can choose. And then you can tell it what you want your default start page to be when you log into Tabs3 Connect. We usually have it as our home page. It shows us the, the 6 icons and, the home page of Tabs3 Connect. But you might just want that to go directly to fees or directly to your calendar or your contacts. You have that ability to choose, where you want that to go, to the calendar, the home, matter manager, or a new fee. And once that's done, you just say, okay, save the user, and then that user is able to sign into Tabs3 Connect using the email and the password you set up for Tabs3 Connect. Now, you might want these to be the same. These passwords could be the same as long as they fit that criteria of having 1 capital letter, 8 characters long, at least 8 characters long, and then a number. So that's there. Once that's set up, you can log in on any device and test it out to make sure it's working, and you'll be all set.
That's pretty simple. Now, I have a couple questions. Mary Rogers says, fabulous idea. Do we daily download and update device to in-house server? What you have to understand is that this is real. If somebody enters a fee, if I had entered a fee right now and then gone to my desktop version of Tabs, it would be there. If my secretary added an appointment and 10 seconds later I pull up my calendar in Tabs3 Connect, it's there. There's no download. There's no syncing. This is live. Now, what that means is that the data is coming straight off of your server, and as you can see, it's coming off very, very quickly. It really an ingenious design as to how this has been done. The web pages are actually being created on your server and sent up to the Tabs3Connect.com website and then ferreted out to the appropriate logged in and authenticated user based on what they've requested. So no syncing. Now Lori, who is asking all the questions about what if you don't have Practice Master, is naturally disappointed that they have to have PM in order for this to happen. She thinks it would be great if the attorneys could enter their fees and not have to have Practice Master, because Lori's firm obviously does not have Practice Master. I would say that there is another product called iTimekeep that we will be giving a webinar about. I'm not sure if it's next month or the month after, but keep your eye out, and we'll post the schedule. We call these our coffee pot webinars. And so if you go to attorneycomputersystems.com and click on the coffee pot link over on the left in the navigation, when we do get it scheduled, you'll be able to see it there. And of course, if you're here because you get our notifications about what we're giving as topics for the VUG virtual user group meeting. So that also means you'll get an email announcing this webinar. And then Lori does go on to say, would you please consider having a webinar on Platinum? I keep missing the ones that Tabs sponsors. I think that's a great idea. I think the ones that Tabs gives are really, really good because Phil, who is the chief nerd at STI, gives them, but I think that's a problem. I think it's good because the IT people get to see it, Platinum, from a very, very technical standpoint, but I think I like your idea, Lori. I think we will give a webinar that's more of a what is Platinum and how is it different and on a more of a user level rather than an IT level. And then Ann says, well, what's the difference between regular and Platinum? Now, Ann, if you're asking money-wise, that would have to be something I'd address with each firm individually because it has to do with how many timekeepers you have, how many Practice Master users you have. A lot of factors go into how much Platinum is. I will tell you that Platinum is several $1,000s more. You have to get the what's called the server software, and then you have to upgrade your software itself, your Tabs and your Practice Master, and if you're using them, the integrated accounting modules, to the Platinum version. Now, Ann, if instead what you were asking was what's the difference in the features, well, the programs look and act the same way. You have a client manager and a matter manager. You have a fee entry screen. They're the same screens, but there are certain features that are in the Platinum version that are not in the regular version. There is a very definitive list somewhere, but here are a couple of them. In Platinum, you can back up. They call it hot backup while people remain in the software. I think that's huge. In Platinum, you have Tabs3 Connect. We've just seen that. In Platinum, you have that eNote feature that Mary Jo was talking about, where you can send instant messages back and forth that relate to clients and matters, or not. You can ask Bill if he's ready for lunch. And to those eNotes or to those instant messages, you can attach calendar items and notes and calendar records, client records, so that you can link the person you're communicating with back to exactly what you're talking about. It is built on an architecture that is client-server based. That's nerd talk, but what it means is your reports will be about 30 to 50 times faster. If you get the SQL version, Platinum SQL it's called, your ODBC connections will be 30 to 50 times faster. Again, ODBC, another nerd term, but if you're using it, you know that it's slow, and so be advised that the Platinum SQL version is hugely faster. I know that's not good English, and my grandmother is probably rolling over in her grave because she was an English teacher, but we'll use it anyways. It's hugely hugely faster. Did I cover everything, Mary Jo? Those are the basics. There is also this built into this architecture, a little more nerd talk for you, is the fact that it is able to recover from things like power outages or network interruptions and without loss of data much better than the regular version can because of the architecture that's there to protect your data. That's not to say that the regular version is going to destroy your data, but with the regular version, if power interrupts your computer while you're updating statements, you have to restore from a backup. And if you're running Platinum, you probably don't, because Platinum has something built into it to provide a certain level of protection. It's inherent in the architecture, what's called the client-server architecture. So there, in a nutshell, are the differences. Tabs3 Connect, the eNote feature, the hot backup, the reports that are faster, and the auto recovery that's provided by the architecture. There are, of course, certain other features. One that I'll mention right now, people have asked for years for what's called a working timekeeper AR report. It's in version 16.2 of Platinum, and the reason it's only in Platinum is because if you ran that report in the regular version, it would take about 4 days to complete. Well, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but because of all that goes on in doing the calculations and computations for that sort of a report, it would be virtually impossible to do it without Platinum. So, Leanne, do we have any more questions? Leanne is yelling from the other room because her phone died. She's been running in here furiously, writing notes for me, so if you're worried that perhaps Leanne is no longer here or is gone or has hurt herself somewhere and is not able to attend, she is. You just can't hear her. So I think that's it. No more questions. And remember, if you do have questions, paul.perdue@attorneycomputersystems.com. We have not picked a topic for next month, but we will before the end of the day. That's one of the things we do on the days that we have these virtual user group meetings. So you can either wait for the email that comes the Thursday before the water cooler, or you can go out to the website later this afternoon and see what we're doing next month. Everybody have a good rest of the month and a good rest of the day, and we will see you in a month. Bye-bye.